good morning everyone. Today we're going to be doing a fun reader's theater. And before we get started, we're going to talk about what reading with fluency sounds like. So can you talk to your shoulder partner about what you think reading with fluency sounds like?
It's clear.
And it has expression.
Very cool. I had some great things. Yeah, so reading with fluency involves using the proper phrasing, intonation, and expression while reading. Now, phrasing is when we read words together to sound more smooth. What is phrasing?
Read words together to sound more smooth.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, intonation is how your voice rises and falls when reading. And you can also use it with expression to demonstrate meaning and emotion. So, now listen to this example. So, would it be better for me to say, I'm so happy? Or would it be better for me to say, I'm so happy?
The first one.
Yeah, that would be the correct way to say the sentence. All right. So the text that we're going to be reading today is a historical fiction. Does anyone know what a historical fiction is?
It's something that happened in the past.
All right. Yeah.
But it's fake.
Yeah, so historical fiction, basically, it's based on true events, but the characters are fictional. So what kind of characters are those?
Fictional?
Yeah, so not true. Perfect. All right, so today's story specifically is going to be talking about soldiers fighting during World War I in 1914, so a long time ago, around Christmas time. And you all know that Christmas is a special holiday for us, right? Do you celebrate Christmas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And how about, can anyone tell me what World War I was? Do you know anything about it?
It was a war against a lot of countries.
Yeah, so it was like a global war, so a lot of countries fighting various problems, but to get independence and stuff. And we had like France and Great Britain and the United States fighting against the Germans and some other powers as well. So now this specific story is going to take place near the border of the Britain and Germany front. But before we get started, so now we talked about a little bit of background, but now we're going to talk about some vocabulary. I have a little presentation here. Alright. Alright, so the first word is trench. What do you guys think trench means?
Where they used to like shoot and stuff like that in the war.
Yeah, do you have any idea?
I was thinking like a big hole.
Yeah, that's what it is. Perfect. So it's a long and narrow hole in the ground. We have a little picture here. Alright, and how about dugouts? What could dugouts
Isn't that baseball?
Yeah, I was gonna say, isn't that baseball?
That is a similar word. However, in this case, it is a shelter dug by soldiers, so it's connected to those trenches. So it's like a little hideout, so they're hiding in there, kind of thing. All right. How about no man's land? Have you ever heard of that word? Or
Could it be like no one can go
yeah, that's a very good guess. Yeah. So it's basically an area between two opposing trenches. So yeah, you can't really pass through those. It was really dangerous. There was a lot of like heavy fire and stuff. So perfect. All right. How about scarce?
there? Like bare? Not much around it.
Not a lot.
Yeah. So scarce means not a lot. So you could say water is not scarce in Florida. So we have a lot of water here. All right. How about tinged?
Oh, I don't know that word.
I don't know either.
All right. Yeah. So tinged is basically like a sharp ringing sound. So like ding.
So
it
like
could be like a bell. Yeah. All right. How about bewilderment?
Be wild.
All right.
That's
Interesting
a good
guess.
one, yeah.
That's what I
Okay.
got.
Not exactly. So bewilderment means I'm so confused. So bewilderment is being confused. Alrighty. We have some few more. So the next one is mingled. What's the mingled mean?
Like hanging, maybe? Like I just like
Like
imagine
dangle?
Yeah, like it sounds like dangle.
Alright. So mingled means to move freely. So it's like moving together in groups.
Like mingle.
Yeah, so like mix and mingle. all here together, kind of talking and stuff. Yeah. All right, and the last one is infamous. What might that word mean?
I don't know.
Famous?
Oh, yeah, it does have
Okay,
famous. Not famous?
Oh, not, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great guess. I like how you use those context clues. Yeah. So something that is not famous. So, or sorry, not famous, but a person who is famous for a bad thing. Yeah.
That
All
was
right.
close.
Yeah. All right. That's all the vocabulary. So Jocelyn's gonna take it from here.
Alright. So now we're going to be doing a reader's theater. Do you guys know what that is?
Where we act like we're like different parts.
Yeah, exactly. Just like a play, sort of, but without props. So in this specific theater, it follows 4 soldiers as they each write separate letters to their loved ones. So we're going to assign each of us as a soldier. I'll start, so I'll be soldier 1. Anna will be soldier 4. And Jalen, since you're our EL, you're gonna be soldier 2, and we have colored coordination for you to read. So like this. So you'll be soldier 2, and Katie, you'll be soldier 3.
Okay.
So as you guys read, make sure to speak with the proper expression. This is like a play. Imagine that you're the soldier and think about expressions that you would have and how you would feel. Okay, so I'm going to start off. So I'm soldier 1, so it's right at the top here. To audience, so I don't have to say that, it's just to the audience. Christmas Day, 1914, dear mother. So he's starting his letter. And now Anna can start as soldier 4.
And I'll go next. So, my darling Meg.
My good friend Charles.
My dear sister Janet.
It is 2 o'clock in the morning, and most of our men are asleep in their dugouts.
Yet I could not sleep myself before writing to you of the wonderful events of Christmas Eve.
In truth, what happened seems almost like a fairy tale, and if I hadn't been through it myself, I would scarce believe it.
So there's one of our words. So this word scarce, do you remember what it means?
Like, not a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like kind of rare. Good.
Do I go?
Yes.
Okay. Just imagine, while you and the family sang carols before the fire there in London, I did the same with enemy soldiers here on the battlefields of France.
As I wrote before, there has been little serious fighting of late. The first battles of the war left so many dead that both sides have held back until replacements could come from home. So we have mostly stayed in our trenches and waited.
But what a terrible waiting it has been, knowing that any moment an artillery shell might land and explode beside us in the trench, killing or maiming several men. And in the daylight, not daring to lift our heads above the ground for fear of a sniper's bullet.
So there's another word, trench. Do you guys remember what trench means?
Like their little dug holes that they stand in.
Good. Yeah.
And the rain, it has fallen almost daily. Of course, it collects right in our trenches, where we must bail it out with pots and pans, and with the rain has come mud, a good foot or more deep.
It splatters and cakes everything and constantly sucks at our boots. One new recruit got his feet stuck in it, and then his hands too when he tried to get out, just like an American story of a tar baby.
Through all this, we couldn't help feeling curious about the German soldiers across the way. After all, they faced the same dangers we did and slogged about in the same mud.
What's more, their first trench was only 50 yards from ours. Between us lay no man's land, bordered on both sides by barbed wire. Yet they were close enough we sometimes heard their voices.
Do you guys remember what no man's land means?
Like empty?
The in-between areas of the trenches.
Good, the in-between, so no man can cross it.
Of course, we hated them whenever they killed our friends. But other times we joked about them and almost felt we had something in common.
And now it seems like they felt the same.
Just yesterday morning, Christmas Eve day, we had our first good freeze. Cold as we were, we welcomed it, because at least the mud froze solid.
Everything was tinged white with frost, while a bright sun shone over all. Perfect Christmas weather.
Do you guys remember what tinged means?
I don't remember that
I don't
one.
remember either.
Okay, tinged is just when, in this context, it's used for being kind of lightly coated. So you can see a little bit of white frost over everything.
During the day, there was little shelling or rifle fire from either side, and as darkness fell on our Christmas Eve, the shooting stopped entirely.
Our first complete silence in months. We hoped it might promise a peaceful holiday, but we didn't count on it. We'd been told the Germans might attack and try to catch us off guard.
I went to the dugout to rest, and lying on my cot, I
Thank
must
you.
have drifted asleep. All at once, my friend was shaking me awake, saying, "Come and see what the Germans are doing." I grabbed my rifle, stumbled out into the trench, and stuck my head cautiously above the sandbags.
I never hoped to see a stranger, and more lovely sight. Clusters of tiny lights were shining all along the German line, right and left and right, as far as the eye could see.
What is it? I asked in bewilderment, and someone answered, Christmas trees.
And so it was. The Germans had placed Christmas trees in front of their trenches, lit by a candle or lantern like beacons of goodwill.
Do you guys remember what that word bewilderment means?
Oh, that was like excitement. Like I couldn't believe it.
It's actually confusion.
Oh.
Remember? So he's kind of bewildered and confused, but in a positive way, especially in this context. And then we heard their voices raised in song. Stille Nacht. I don't know German.
This carol may not yet be familiar to us in Britain, but one soldier knew it and translated. Silent night, holy night. I've never heard one lovelier or more meaningful in that quiet, clear night. Its dark softened by the first quarter moon.
When the song finished, the men in our trenches applauded. Yes, British soldiers applauding Germans.
Then one of our own men started singing, and we all joined in. The first Noel, the angels did say.
In truth, we sounded not nearly as good as the Germans with their fine harmonies, but they responded with enthusiastic applause of their own, and then began another. O Tannenbaum, O Tannenbaum.
Then we replied, "Oh, come all ye faithful."
But this time they joined in, singing the words in Latin, Adieste fideles.
The British and German harmonizing across no man's land. I would have thought nothing could be more amazing, but what came next was more so.
English, come over, we heard one of them shout. You know shoot, we know shoot.
There in the trenches, we looked at each other in bewilderment. Then one of us shouted jokingly, "You come over here."
To our astonishment, we saw two figures rise from the trench, climb over their barbed wire, and advance unprotected across no man's land.
One of them called, "Send officer to talk."
I saw one of our men lift his rifle to the ready, and no doubt others did the same. But our captain called out, "Hold your fire." Then he climbed out and went to meet the Germans halfway.
We heard them talking, and a few minutes later, the captain came back with a German cigar in his mouth. "We've agreed there will be no shooting before midnight tomorrow," he announced. "But sentries are to remain on duty, and the rest of you stay alert."
Across the way, we could make out groups of 2 or 3 men starting out of the trenches and coming toward us.
Then some of us were climbing out too, and in minutes more, there we were in no man's land, over 100 soldiers and officers of each side, shaking hands with men we'd been trying to kill just hours earlier.
Before long, a bonfire was built, and around it we mingled. There's another word. Do you remember what that means?
Like mixed together.
Yeah, like talk to each other.
Yeah, like sort of mix and talk together. British khaki and German gray. I must say, the Germans were the better dressed, with fresh uniforms for the holiday.
Only a couple of our men knew German, but more of the Germans knew English. I asked one of them why that was. Because many of us have worked in England, he said. Before all of this, I was a waiter at the Hotel Cecile. Perhaps I waited on your table. Perhaps you did, I said, laughing.
One German told me he had a girlfriend in London and that the war had interrupted their plans for marriage. I said, "Don't worry, we'll have you beat by Easter, and then you can come back and marry the girl." He laughed at that. Then he asked if I'd send her a postcard he'd give me later, and I promised I would.
Another German had been a porter at a Victoria station. He showed me a picture of his family back in Munich. His eldest sister was so lovely. I told him I should like to meet her someday. He beamed and said he'd like that very much and gave me his family's address.
Even those who could not converse could still exchange gifts. Our cigarettes for their cigars, our tea for their coffee, our corned beef for their sausage. Badges and buttons from uniforms changed owners, and one of our lads walked off with the infamous spiked helmet. There's another one of our words. What's the infamous word? What does that mean?
Like remembered for a bad thing.
Good, perfect.
I myself traded a jackknife for a leather equipment belt, a fine souvenir to show when I get home.
Newspapers, too, changed hands, and the Germans howled with laughter at ours. They assured us that France was finished and Russia nearly beaten, too.
We told them that was nonsense, and one of them said, "Well, you believe your newspapers and we'll believe ours."
Clearly they are lied to. Yet after meeting these men, I wonder how truthful our own newspapers have been.
These are not the savage barbarians we've read so much about. They are men with homes and families, hopes and fears, principles, and yes, love of country.
In other words, men like ourselves.
There's page numbers.
Sorry. Why are we led to believe otherwise?
As it grew late, a few more songs were traded around the fire, and then all joined in for I Am Not Lying to You, Auld Lang Syne.
Then we parted and promises to meet again tomorrow.
And even some talk of a football match.
I was just starting back to the trenches when an older German clutched my arm. "My God," he said, "why cannot we have peace and all go home?" I told him gently, "That you must ask your emperor." He looked at me then, searchingly. "Perhaps, my friend, but we also must ask our hearts."
And so, dear mother,
Dear wife,
Dear friend,
Dear sister,
tell me, has there ever been such a Christmas Eve in all history?
and what does it all mean, this impossible befriending of enemies?
for the fighting here, of course, it remains regrettably little. Decent fellows those soldiers may be, but they follow orders and we do the same.
besides, we are here to stop their army and send it home, and never could be strength that duty.
Still, one cannot help imagine what would happen if the spirit shown here were caught by the nations of the world.
Of course, disputes must always arise.
But what if our leaders were to offer well wishes in places of mourning?
Songs in place of slurs.
And slurs here, I know we have a different meaning of slurs, but back in when this was written, slurs meant more of just general insults.
Okay.
Presents in place of reprisals.
Would not all war end at once?
All nations say they want peace.
Yet on this Christmas morning, I wonder if we want it quite enough.
Yours truly,
Yours always,
Sincerely,
With all my love,
John.
Andrew.
Philip.
Tom.
Alright, so that's the end of our Reader's Theater. As you can see, historical fiction. I know in the case of this theater, it was taken based off of specific letters they found, because this event really did happen. But these are fictional people still.
Oh, okay.
Now we have a worksheet for you guys to fill out. I want you to complete the answers as honestly and as best as you can. And for you, Jalen, for our EL, we're gonna read it out loud for
Okay.
you because you listen better than you read for everybody. I wouldn't actually say that. Okay, so we start with the self-evaluation. Today I read. So you can
Historical
just say,
fiction?
sure, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't.
Do I have to
include a
write it
title.
or?
Yeah, you can write it.
Okay.
If you don't mind. What I liked about how I read today.
I like that I was able to sound out the words.
Good. Okay. And what I did not like about how I read today.
Having to remember what the vocabulary words meant.
Okay, good. As I read, I noticed that I was good at the following.
Sounding out the words.
Good. As I read, I notice that I need to improve the following.
Expression.
Good. Okay. I can improve by.
Listening to how other people read.
Mm-hmm.
Alright.
That looks good. Yeah.
Okay.
Is this you?
Oh, okay.
No.
So this is how I think.
Yeah, so the next paper is you're evaluating yourself. So how well do you think you read? So with
Yeah.
accuracy, so that's how well you read. Rate is the pace, so how fast you read. Expression is then meaning and emotion, and then phrasing is how smoothly you read.
And you can write your own name up here.
Mm-hmm.
No worries.
Yeah. All right, is everyone finished with their worksheets? Great
Yes.
job. Did you have fun today?
Yes.
Yay. So can you briefly share with your shoulder partner what the story was about?
It was about 4 soldiers writing to their families about an event.
On Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm. Very nice. So now I'd like you to write 3 to 4 sentences of a summary for the text. So for Jalen, we have some sentence starters here on the left. So just a couple of sentences we can write.
Should I just write it on here?
Yeah,
Okay.
just on the back, that's fine. A brief summary of what happened in general.
Should I explain like what we did for the student with exceptional?
Oh yeah, sure.
Use my computer for that. 'Cause it's kind of easier. For you guys, for what we did with the student with exceptionality, our student, so our EL, his proficiency scores for reading was 2, writing 3, listening 4, and speaking 3. So, he could listen the best, which is why we would read out loud to him. And we also had sentence starters, but we didn't really end up using it.
Oh wait, I think I did the oral one.
And then student with exceptionality
Oh,
is below grade level reader. So, we would have just kind of had him echo read, so we would read and then he would read back, or just follow along. Can you guys see our lesson plan? No?
We're not observing you.
Oh, okay. Can you guys see our?
I didn't have it up, I was just doing phase one.
Okay, okay. So we had a few, for the student with exceptionality, we were also gonna pair up with one of them. it was hard because it was in 4 years, so it was just, we had one. And they would be able to like tap out and we could take over. And then for this reflection, we also had like sentence starters, like today I learned about blank. I think I can read with fluency because blank.
All right, great job, everyone. So, real quick, last thing. So, I want you to share a new vocabulary word you learned with your partner.
Bewilderment.
I'm a bewilderment.
And that was like to be confused
Yeah.
in a good way.
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty cool word. All right, great job. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.